Go.
Did you say go?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here is our critique. We're toward the end of our second day. And wow, I just want you to take it in. Just sort of savor the color. It is absolutely sumptuously beautiful. And I was just thinking how far we've come since our student show last year. Come a long, long way. So the way we typically do this is that we just take one painting at a time and have the artist speak to it. And the way that the critiques go is the artist would say, what I like about this painting, what I enjoyed about this painting is this. This is what I'm not so sure about, if anything. And sometimes I'll say something, and sometimes the group will say something. And so, who would like to start? Anybody want to start?
Sure.
Okay, Sue, thank you.
I enjoyed
So,
doing,
yeah.
this is mine.
We have a documentary being made, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, she's filming you.
All right.
Okay, so if you'll point to your painting, that will help.
Okay. This is as you probably figured out now, the smoke tree that's out yonder here. And what I don't like about it is I didn't quite get my leaves of the smoke tree as I wanted. I enjoyed doing the ferns down below. I wish my rock looked like a rock instead of a mountain. But I had fun doing the background. So it was good.
Kind of like
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
kind of like a hobbit mountain.
So, I'm just enjoying it because it's beautiful. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's organic shapes. Your color work really worked out well. I mean, the colors just are harmonious. It has a soft feeling. What I look for in a painting is how does my solar plexus react to it when I first look at it. And this is something you would hang and enjoy and live with. And you don't really have to know what it is. So I would say excellent job. I've liked it right from the very beginning. None of the things that bother you trouble me. Very well balanced.
It's very whimsical.
Yeah.
It's very.
I like your patchwork pastels. I like that. That's fun.
And the sprightly little whoops. Boop.
And that's how those are out there. It's just,
That's it,
Yeah.
They're very, very ethereal.
So Sue, if you were, the only thing I see that I think that if you were going to change something and actually change it up, see that shape right there?
the cut-off tree, yeah.
It's really kind of, it's almost like you don't need it, and it's pretty
Okay.
static, and it grabs your eye. So you might be able to lift some of it and just push it back.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Or not.
No,
That's
thank you, that's
the only thing that doesn't just flow.
Sure.
And everything else is just fluid. Okay? Good. Who would like to go next?
I will.
Okay, artist, please.
I'm the hummingbird.
Would you come up here and sort of speak to your film?
Oh, dear. Yeah. And I think for the most part, I really, I'm quite pleased with it. I still have to do some work on the flower. It's a little flat, but I want to leave it and let it really dry and see then what I need to do. And I'm pretty happy with the actual bird, and I played with those iridescents.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, yeah.
I thought you did a really good job because it was brave of you to have to paint the hummingbird a very dark color in order to get the iridescence colors to show up, otherwise they won't show up.
Uh-huh.
And you redrew it and you worked hard to finally get to where your drawing was where you wanted it. Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is that I have two pictures. I have a picture of the bird and a picture of the flower. And
Exactly.
kind of put them together.
I'd also point out that, notice how she selected jewel tones in the background. That's quinacridine rose, and then it goes down to aureolin. And the jewel tones I knew would work really well with the jewel-like hummingbird, and that was really successful. Anybody else have a comment on
I think
this?
the yellow is extreme, is that around the tail.
Yeah.
The sun looks like the sunlight just coming up on it. It's beautiful, reflecting sunlight. I love that one.
Okay, good. Very nice. See? Great. Okay, who's next? Jump in, somebody.
Come on, Roberta, I want to hear about yours. I love yours.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show two pictures because I wanted to, I'm trying to find my muse in Wet and Wet. I really love it. It excites me. And I had a picture that I was going from, and this is the first one that I did. I wasn't happy with it. It just seemed too disjointed to me. It just, there's no connection here. And it isn't like it, I mean, other than this looking like mountains, which I really liked, I wasn't sure what the rest of this really looked like. Okay? So then I went to Cheryl, the great teacher, and I said, help. And so she gave me a set of instructions on how to work on it. And this is, and she also helped me with color. I will say that that made a big difference too. And this is what I ended up with the second time. And I think it's I still think there are things that can be improved on. Again, I like the mountain. I love this side here. Yeah. I'm not as wild about, I need to put my back to you, but about this here. I'm not sure it looks like clouds or a storm to me, but I think it's a big improvement over the first one. And maybe after 100, like Cheryl says, I'll be happy.
Well, your mountains.
Oh,
Just-
yeah, those mountains.
Basalt columns all the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
It's a wowie, it's a wowie.
It's really just beautiful.
It
It's a painting. It doesn't look like what you were copying. It is a painting of storm clouds. And if you can, the minute you put this away and look at it 2 weeks later, you're gonna go, wow, wow, yeah. It's just exciting, it's explosive, and anybody else in the class have any comments for Roberta?
Oh, what color blues did you use,
Enden Throne.
Yes, I used the, how did you say that?
Enden Throne Blue.
Enden Throne Blue. I originally started out with
Ultramarine.
ultramarine. That one was the ultramarine. And then we had a
Cobalt Violet.
Cobalt violet there, and then this was quinacridone.
Cobalt Violet Deep.
Oh, that's this pink one though.
Cobalt Violet and Cobalt Violet Deep is what you
Oh,
used.
I see. Okay, because you gave me those.
That's correct.
Yeah, and then I added a little Aurelian down in here in addition, and made them quite a bit darker.
Congratulations, it's a breakthrough painting for you.
Good.
It is.
Thank you.
Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
I like the beautiful center part there with the light colors. too.
Oh, yeah.
It shows
It's just
actually.
like fire and lightning.
The clouds are breaking
Yeah.
up.
Great job. Okay, Dale, why don't you come on up here and talk about your waterfall?
Oh, yeah. Which waterfall is it?
It's no snowball.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Well, let's see. I like the way it came out. I think that I would have,
Would you point at it for us?
right here. Looking back, especially from there, the picture shows this being very dark, and I think maybe if I'd have done it ahead of time, that might have looked better, but I'm afraid to do that now, so.
What was dark?
This is very dark in here, like to right here.
The photo is very dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it was in the shadow.
Because the water, it's almost like you can see yourself in there.
Talk about perspective.
So,
My hat's off.
Well, there's a lot of chatter going on about it, but notice the visual cues for distance. the foreground is lighter, warmer, and more detailed.
Right.
Her middle distance where the waterfall is less detailed, but there's some. Then you're moving back to the rocks, of course, and then you move back into the trees. And there's actually one tree that you can see a little better than the others, which sort of is in the middle background. And then it recedes. It actually recedes all the way back into nothingness, which is what is giving the depth cues for the whole painting.
Right.
So, foreground, middle ground, background, more detail, less detail, warm, cooler, cooler.
Well,
And-
the river at the top is very still and very glassy, and like you could probably see your face in it.
Yeah.
And that's because they put a board up and dam that river, so it's just like a bit of a pond. And then that water, just, you could see it just
Really flowing.
dropping
Well,
off.
it was very brave of you, I think it's highly.
Yeah, you think it was brave of her? I think so too. Yeah.
I got a lot of help from this lady right here.
Well, that's why we came, yeah.
So, thank you very much. I think you did really, really well. Okay, Kathy, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
I'm working on another painting, but this is one that I had done a long time ago. And I decided that it was actually half of the painting. I decided that I would work on this, and Cheryl helped me with the finishing touches on the rocks and with some of the visual clues of the foreground, middle ground, and the background, and I really appreciated that. And I'm really happy with it. It feels calm to me when I look at it. So, you know, it feels.
It was a little jumpy. There were a lot of white spots, so she just literally obliterated the white spots with transparent, what's it called, earth green or Bohemian earth green. And just literally knocked them down so it didn't look so jumpy.
Was that just a nice place to sit on the rocks?
Yeah. But thank you. So I did most of it at another time, but
Yeah.
you know,
But no, I mean, it's fine. I figure that any day that you're painting, and as long as you keep your hand moving, you're gonna get better.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter so much what you're painting. Okay, great. Let's see. Drew, would you like to give it a shot?
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You can put it right up, just over the top of you.
You think it's okay?
I really think that that's perfectly fine.
They're dry now?
Yeah, they're all dry.
Okay, there we go. Well, the tree started out as a color pencil drawing, and it was really soft, you know, too light. And I eventually just started painting on it. And I used saran wrap on it, and it really did make some kind of interesting tree patterns in it. And there is a line that I plan on getting rid of. This line is kind of bothers me, and there are a couple spots. It's not done, but I'm liking it. And I might bump up the trees. They're done with watercolor pencil. And then, as you can see, like the face is it's done with pencil, and it's really soft. I mean, it gives you an example of watercolor compared to the watercolor pencil, because it's very light.
And is that inspired by Toniqua?
Yeah.
Sorry about what?
Yes.
Toniqua.
What is that?
A Native American,
Yeah, the spirit.
a Native American spirit.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
It's a whole other story. We'll tell you later.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good
And
story.
ask Peter
So-
and Sandy. They're the ones to tell you.
Sandy,
Yeah, so
Sandy knows of.
This was sort of a modern day one, I suppose. Kind of- paint is just so much more.
Try this out.
bold,
Yeah.
much
But I
bolder.
mean, that it's a beautiful soft look though, and it's very mysterious and moody, so that's okay. You don't really, you're not really looking for that in that painting.
Well, Drew,
Yeah.
They're trees. I just wanna hike in there, they just look so real.
They're so
They're kind of mossy in the front,
Yeah.
oh, they're just beautiful, I love your trees.
Thank you.
I think so too.
And from back here, you said you didn't like the line, I can't
Does
see it.
Molly?
It could be a skyline, you know.
Could be.
Yeah,
No.
it's beautiful.
Maybe it is.
No.
A few more dark.
You have to really concentrate to see it, yeah.
You told me to paint it, so. Yeah.
You know, if you had a little bit more darker blues,
Yeah,
you could still have some more dark, some a little more dark.
yeah, I don't think it's really done yet, but
It's
it's
really, it's
close.
come along nice.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
Ms. Gale,
Okay. So this is my second attempt at this particular painting. And so it's not even close to being done, actually. But I'm trying some different texture here. I'm not 100% sure I like it, but I'm going to see how it goes. And there'll be a lot of overlapping yet to come. So this is really always a hard stage because it really doesn't look that great, you know. But I'm liking I want to have a very gray, rainy feel, and eventually this will have some water drops on it. But
Gail, can you tell the group how you're achieving that beautiful luminous gray?
yeah, well, my two new favorite colors are alizarin crimson and viridian, and that viridian mixed with alizarin crimson makes this.
And it's mixed optically, right? Didn't
Yeah.
you let it pretty much mix itself?
Pretty much, but even if you mix it together and lay it down, it separates on the paper.
Yeah, but that's optical mixing, and
I
so
love
that's
it,
what
yeah.
makes it vibrant, and that's what makes watercolors
And it's
unique.
super transparent too, so you're not stuck with it. You can really, even after you lay it down and let it dry, you can still do a lot with it. So
You can lift viridian, alizarin
Yeah.
crimson not so much.
not so much unless you go light on it.
But
or
they're
early
very,
on, yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
primo transparent colors for
Yeah.
watercolor.
Hmm.
Well, it's looking wonderful.
Thank you.
Very Asian, which I love.
I'm gonna try to get a little more. Usually, well, the last time I painted, it took me like 3 weeks, so I'm gonna try to make some more headway on it.
Does it have a background color?
Yeah, it'll probably go, the background will be from dark to light that way, probably.
And
What-
working with
what
those grays,
tint?
right?
What tint? Gray?
It'll have some gray, but I'll also bring in some blue,
Uh-huh.
and aqua colors, but not too much, because I wanna, but yeah, it'll have a lot more kind of greeny and darker here, and it'll go to lighter.
Good.
It'll also probably have some soft branches, because the tree is back here. So mixed in with the gray will be some branches and a little soft pink.
But the branches, you're looking at doing those wet into wet, so they have soft edges.
Yeah, they'll
Right.
be very soft.
Beautiful.
Is that your drawing back there?
Yes, I want to.
Yes, that's my drawing,
Drawing's
if
beautiful.
you're interested. So I took this photograph, it was a bigger photograph, but I cropped it last spring on one of my walks. This tree's in my front yard.
Beautiful.
I love, love, love this big old drop right here. And so then I had to try to figure out how to make sense of it and edit out a lot of it, because there's just a lot going on. And so I ended up tracing a small version of it and then enlarging it onto paper and working out some values.
You know, the drawing's so good, you should frame that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so that was my process for getting to that, but that in itself took a long time.
That's okay. The thing about painting is it's the lowest tech thing left on the planet.
For sure.
And it's about the only time where you aren't under time pressure, unless you put it on yourself. And I suggest that you don't, because we don't get that very often. Don't get much time pressure, do we, Sam? Okay, Peter, please. Yeah.
So, I took a figure drawing class, and one of the things I did was Sandy gave me this book, Drawing Lessons from the Great Masters, so I've been copying. And I've just been doing pencil sketches and ink and all sorts of, ballpoint pen, really quick stuff. And so here's a Rembrandt, a sleeping woman, but it's done with watercolor and brush. And one color. So I tried to imitate it. And you know, it's gray and black, and the gray goes on first, as Cheryl taught me. And it's not perfect, but those are two versions of that sleeping figure. And then there are three men just digging in the road by Goya. And once again, it's brushwork. I think it's all in brown. The original is all in brown. But the one in the book is just black and white. And I'll just show the copy. And so, you know, you've got, as Hale says, you've got this guy at the top of his stroke and this guy at the bottom of his stroke in a really nice triangle, sort of like the Iwo Jima photograph, right? But this is 1800, three guys digging in a ditch in Spain by Francisco Goya. And I added what's called Maya red in the dirt.
Yeah, Mayan red. Yeah.
Mayan red in the dirt, just to get a little bit of different, just what they're digging in.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's really dynamic.
Yeah.
You really got the whoa, you can know that guy's just gonna hammer it.
Yeah.
Good.
What did you use to get your black?
Black
Watercolor.
watercolor. And I put the largest brush in his hand that I could get him to use. But
My inclination is to use a really small point and almost draw it like pencil, and that's not the right move. And you can, as she says, you can get really this fine line with a big brush. But you have to paint out a lot of the paint.
Yeah.
So, so I've been copying a lot, you know, like, and doing anything from native art to Botticelli's portrait. This is in pencil, Botticelli's portrait of Dante. And Botticelli's portrait of a young woman who died, who became his muse and became Venus. She's a Swiss lady from the Renaissance.
Peter is a Renaissance man because this is the classic way that people have always learned.
Right.
Is by
Figure drawing.
Yeah.
But this is a gorgeous oil painting by Botticelli, and I'm just working with pencil. I haven't done oils in a long time. Good.
Great, thank you. Really good. Okay, I believe it's Vicky's turn. Maybe you could pick two to talk about. You can tell people how many you did.
Baker's dozen.
Pick two to talk about.
There we go. Can you buy?
Well, my project this week is I bought a book, and it's 64 experiments in design and composition. So the first one, actually I can go really quick. The first one was detail at the top, or emphasis at the top. So that's what I did there, and that's wet and wet. And
It's wet and wet.
So show it up again.
wet and wet.
Okay.
And then the second one was, which I don't really care for, was emphasis on the bottom. But that got too busy, so I didn't like that one. And then this one was emphasis on the side, this side here.
That is so Asian.
And then this one was emphasis on the diagonal, so that's just strictly texture.
How did you do that, Vicki?
Yeah, what's that?
Brush strokes and salt
How big
and
was the brush?
splatter, a lot of splatter.
Big brush?
Big brush.
Dry?
Dry brush.
Beautiful.
And then this one is my horizontal design.
This one I like.
Is that horizontal?
Yeah.
And then this one is vertical. That was just fun, whimsical, as we say. And then this one is dark, I had to think about it, dark in the center.
Dark in the
Sort of,
center.
yeah. Anyway, those are my,
It's still wet, careful
it's still
with
wet,
it.
yeah.
It's got lots of potential.
Anyway, but they, actually there's some I like.
Yeah.
I think with pen and ink, I like pen and ink and add a little detail.
You speak, girl.
I speak,
But
so I
yeah,
do.
you work hard though. You work hard, it gets you everywhere too, so. Good for you. Well, I think I'll speak to Torrance and then I'll let you speak to yours, okay? We did an exercise for the beginning painters, and I was teaching them how to do a graduated wash. And so we talked about warm and cool blue, warm and cool yellow, and warm and cool red. And so they did a basic graduated wash, and then while it was still wet, they threw in some salt. And then after it dried, they put in some nice masking in order to create some shapes. And then after it was lunch, Torin decided to remove her masking and just sort of put iridescent colors in her little sparkles. And then, of course, she did a beautiful tree of life image. And considering that she doesn't really do art, I mean, she's an artist, but she's a textile artist. So this is a whole different ballgame.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to really hand it to her. She did a good job. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So what can we do now?